Welcome to Chasen Gallery's exhibit of Holly Markhoff. We are here in Holly's home.
Welcome.
I am actually Holly's daughter, Rachel, but I just so happen to work for Chasen Gallery. So it's pretty convenient for me to be here in my own home too. Okay, so we'll do a panorama of the pieces she's been working on.
And then I'll say welcome to you. And then just come to me. Yay. And I will explain all of the pieces, but first off, I just want to say welcome to everyone. I'm so excited that everyone has joined, and want to thank Andrew and Mark in Sarasota and Jeff in Richmond, Chasen Gallery. And it's been very fun. I've had the opportunity to do a paint-along in the gallery at Chasen. I welcomed you all into my studio in Richmond for a spotlight. And during this time where we're not going out as much in groups, I thought this would be kind of fun. Now I get to welcome you into my home. So this is our living room, and we have spent the day taking down a lot of other pieces and putting up some of the new pieces that I've been working on for a while, during the past 9 months or so, and I'm excited to share them with you. So what I'm going to do, I think, is have Rachel maybe go around to each different piece, and I'll talk a little bit about it, answer some questions, and then I'm going to do a little paint along. We did have a little bit of a technical difficulty, so Rachel is filming me from her phone rather than her iPad, so can you even see questions?
Yes, so I'm gonna flip this camera. Let's see.
Do you want
Okay, there we go.
Large iPad?
Nope.
Okay, so do we have people on?
Yes, we have 28 people. I'm just gonna share this to your personal Facebook page.
Okay.
Happening now. Let's see.
So, and welcome. I've got a couple of people here with us. I have my assistant and dear friend Marion, who's been helping me with the lighting. My husband John is up here, and he's just sort of helping wave. And we will start. Rachel, you tell me. Should I just start with the painting?
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about the paintings that you have been working on?
Okay. Well, it's such a special treat to get to share my new work and to have an audience from all over, which is very exciting. It's wonderful to do an event in the gallery, but it's kind of exciting to know that I've got people. I think I've got some friends from New York maybe on here, and Northern Virginia and Florida and all different places. So how about if we just go around the room?
Awesome. Tell us about
here.
this piece.
This is called Gentle Warrior, and I would really love to shine a light on this piece. I'm going to actually take my phone. A lot of my work is very highly glazed with lots of layers of paints and a gloss medium, and I use metallic, so it's actually in the layers of paint. So you need
We'll get a close-up here.
Gallery light on it, and
here you can see the shininess in here.
And I came up with the name Gentle Warrior because she's doing warrior pose, and we're, especially my daughter and husband are very yoga people. I do a little bit of yoga, and I just thought she looks strong and on top, just ready to go, but full of kindness and joy. And I think that's so important right now with all that's going on in the world, to find that inside of ourselves and know that things are getting healthier and better, and this painting is kind of breaking forward. So it was a very cathartic painting for me. And one of the things I did notice in my work through this time, and just to ask Rachel, since you're on your phone, do you think I need to talk louder, or do you think it's all?
I think people can hear you.
Okay. Okay, usually we have the big iPad.
People say it's a powerful piece.
Aw, thank you. One of the things I did notice while I was doing the work during this very challenging time in our world, where there's so much sort of discord in the world, different feelings politically, there's health things, we all know there's so much going on. I noticed that my work, and I actually didn't notice till I brought it all together and put it up to display, there's a different feeling to it than I usually have. And I feel as if there's a lot more of cohesiveness, with my background melding into the people. A lot of times, and let me use this piece as an example. A lot of times my pieces, the people will pop very strongly forward. And I noticed, and this piece actually I had begun over a year ago, but I only finished it this past week. A lot of my pieces are that way. I'll start them and then I set them aside until I really find where they're going. And so this piece was started, I think, in an older genre well, not an older genre, but just not during this pandemic genre. And the people are coming very much forward and they're very bright, which is you know, a statement. They're individuals. And this piece has a lot of, Rachel's showing it, a lot of different texture and a lot of glaze. But I noticed in my newer pieces, and Rachel, if you'll come on over here, and this piece is called Delightful Attire. They're very delighted with what they're wearing. But this piece, which is called Tropical Gala, was a newer work. Well, it wasn't, they're all new, they're all just completed, but this one was begun also very recently. And I noticed that my people, while they still come forward, they're more a part of the whole. There's a holisticness. And, oh, I just realized this is nabbing into the painting, which is never good. Here we go. So, and although the people stand out from the background, I notice there's more of a oneness with them all. And they're also interacting more together. And I think that maybe came about in a lot of my work because it's such a, you know, we're all going through such a time of solitude, especially as a painter. I'm going through such a time of solitude, but then not, you know, as none of us, we're not going out to restaurants, we're not doing so much. If we go out, it's occasionally. And so I feel like my paintings are more interactive. I haven't been as interactive, so my paintings are taking over. So all of these ladies in Tropical Gala are just, they're very involved in having a conversation, and they're part of the whole background. And I have a color that I've really been bringing out more in my newer work, which is this sort of lighter fuchsia pink. And I've been loving using it as just a highlight with some of the darker colors. And when I did this piece, I actually thought of the Sarasota chase, and you know, a Florida piece that's still elegant and bright and a little more tropical. So tropical.
Have you been painting a lot during quarantine, or have you been feeling like not inspirational?
Very good question. I have been having a hard time painting during quarantine. I'll go in and I'll procrastinate and I'll bring my iPad and get on my computer, and then about the last 3 hours while I'm in my studio is when I find that I'm really painting. But I've had a harder time being creative, and having a goal, knowing that I was going to be doing this event, really helped with my creativity. I felt like I needed that, and I think it's because the days are different. You know, they're not as structured, so I needed to have a deadline and a goal, and to get my creativity going a bit. But yeah, but it's been actually very positive for me to have. I feel like such a gift. You know, that I can go into my studio outside of my home. My studio is down in the museum area of Richmond, and I have my own space, and it's about 5 blocks from the Chase and Gallery, which is wonderful. And I get to have a great, I get to go in there, and just while I'm in there, the world is healthy and normal, and I get to, you know.
Madalena had a question about Gentle Warrior. She said, what is the emotional journey you experienced painting the yoga lady?
Aww, that's a Madalena question. That's lovely. I just felt like it's a strong, positive bursting forth from this challenging time. We all find that, you know, we can have, I think, this time, and as being an artist, you know, you realize that there's challenges, and the art can help express that we just get through it, and we come out, and things blossom, and are strong, and it's an inner strength, and that we find, and that's the emotions in this piece. For me, that's what it's just. And also, my daughter's such a yoga girl. She just got certified to teach yoga, so I think of her doing her warrior strong poses.
Tell us about this piece over here. This one's my favorite.
Oh, this one. Over here on the wall.
Am I taking you out of order?
No, you're good. This is
okay.
Fine. This is called Cherry Blossom Gathering. And this is a piece that actually my cousin, Sarita, fell in love with because she saw she and I in it. And this piece is just very free flow. The bodies became what they became based on the colors in the background, and then I brought them out. And they're kind of Rubenesque, or, you know, a little more, you know, free-flowy. And since I grew up in Alexandria, right outside of Washington, D.C., for me, the cherry blossoms were a sign of new beginnings and spring and joy, even though we're going into fall. But it also brought me the feeling of international places and going back up to D.C. and just realizing that no matter where we are in the world, there's something that we can find that's similar in all different places, and even if it's cherry blossoms. So they're gathering that, cherry blossoms. Cherry blossom gathering. Any questions on that, Ruby?
Everyone's just saying how wonderful your work is.
Aw, thank you.
And how much they love it.
How many people?
There's 34 people on.
Oh, 34, those are my friends. So glad you guys are here. Yay! And next time when you all are here, when the people that I've met, that I haven't met, we will be at a gallery together and we will have a toast. But for now, we'll have a toast in my house soon. And, so welcome, Rob. So this painting is called The Listener. And this painting also I had begun a little while ago, but completed. And she's actually one of my favorite pieces. I love her her introspection and her looking outward, and she's just very compassionate. I love how the features of her face worked out. She's got a little bit of a asymmetrical look, and I really enjoyed creating her. And one of the things with my dusty lights, I don't know what shows up so much through here and with my own lighting, but there's a lot of gold.
I'll come do a close-up.
And that's one of the things just to stress in my pieces. If you look at them closely, because they are so many layers, there's maybe, 10 layers or more, and I build it up again between different colors of pigment and metallic paint in quite a lot of cases. And so when you hold a light up, you can almost look through it as if it's glass and see all the different layer and the different color and the texture. And yet it's shiny, and so you can actually touch most of my pieces. Some of my pieces I decide not to make them quite so glazy, but a lot of them they're very, I like to say that nothing can hurt them. And maybe I started that with my pets and my kids. Let's paint things that are indestructible. But no, I actually just, I love glass, and I think that's part of it. I love the depth and color in glass, and I like to try to carry that over into my paintings. And often I have painted very golds and neutral colors. So I'm also finding for this exhibit, which is very interesting because I didn't realize what direction it was going in. But I chose, even though some of the colors are a little muted, they're not bright oranges or bright yellows. It's very colorful work. It's very colorful pieces. It's not just only very contemporary, sophisticated. I mean, hopefully it's contemporary and sophisticated, but it's not only the neutral colors. It's more joyful or emotional colors. Yeah. So this one.
Just a quick pause.
Yes.
People are saying that they love the Rubenesque ladies here, and a lot of people are commenting that. And the ladies are after my own heart. And someone said they love the listener's face. I think it's just very unique and different.
Thank you. Aw, you guys, I'm so glad you're all here. Last time when we did a spotlight in the studio,
Yeah.
or it was actually a paint-along, I could see more comments. And now I'm hearing them from Rachel, and I really appreciate that. I love getting comments. Thank you. And this one here, so I was just
The middle one?
The listener, it was one of my favorites, but actually, I gotta say,
This one's my
I think
favorite.
this could be my favorite. This is called Golden Hillside. And this I actually began probably around April or May, and I just finished it I'll be honest, I just finished it an hour ago. And it was finished, it's been finished. As a matter of fact, there's pictures of this on the Chasen website from a few weeks ago, but if you look closely, those pictures are different from this, because part of one of the trademarks of how I do things is especially when something is on the wall, and I see it and I stand back, I really savor my paintings and look, and I will almost always find something to add to a painting for the first week or so after it's hung, and then it's done. So I will just, you know, as Jeff and Andrew and Mark are getting to know me, don't be surprised if I sometimes come and run into the gallery with a paintbrush and change something. But it will only happen the first week, and then I'm set. So
let's do a close-up of this one.
Once we put this painting up on the wall, I noticed that it needed a bit more brightness coming out, so this has just been added. And I'm so
and the
happy
pinks,
with
you added the pinks in the background.
Those the other day, yeah. But it's one of my favorite paintings, and I just feel as if so it's two women and two men sitting, one's playing a guitar, and they're just interacting, and it's joyful and calm. I think calm is a big thing right now. And and now it's done. So now it's like I can't see one thing to add to it. So now I can bring this into Chase because it's done.
Laura Dintelman wants to know what inspires you.
Oh, hello. What inspires me? Sometimes, you know, what inspires me actually is the materials. In terms of the image, I do a lot of sketching, and I think it's just there's certain genres that I'm used to kind of doing, but I love the feeling of the materials and the paints. So different materials will bring out different types of style. And I think a perfect example of that is if Rachel, this is an older painting which if Rachel turns around that was on the wall, but we took it down to put up one of the new paintings.
This one?
This is called Raspberry Delight, and it's actually kind of huge. And this painting was really inspired by the material. I used a very thick, creamy, semi-gloss and glossy paint, and I just made it almost as if it's sculpture. And so each flower pops, and then they have, you know, different centers and background and different layers. So this was really inspired by the materials, and I just had it was just like playing like finger painting, although I do use a paintbrush.
Your hands are often dirty, though.
I'm dirty right now. I didn't actually have time to get the And so this is, and I will put a glove on. So and that's something else. In between each layer, I do paint with my hands. I put a glaze on, and I glaze and build it up. And
you were wearing gloves before COVID.
I was, yes. And I want, this COVID thing has hurt my art supplies because I was having trouble finding my gloves.
Mom,
I will share my gloves.
Andrea Nackman wants to go, approximately how long does it take you to finish a painting?
That's a really good question. And it really depends. You know, like I was saying, this one I started a year ago, and I just finished last week. This one, you know, I started in, I was thinking April or May, and I thought it was finished 2 weeks ago, but now it's really finished. But if I really went from start to finish, and it probably takes me about a month to do a painting, but because there are so many layers, and one time and I'll do a little bit of a painting soon, because there are so many layers, if you come to my studio, which next time I'll invite you back to my studio, I have about 5 paintings going on at any one time. And I'll go, so as I put some color in a layer and it's drying, I'll go to the next painting and the next, and 1 or 2 paintings will really push forward, and then, you know, the other may sit for a year until I can kind of feel who they're supposed to be or what it's all supposed to, you know.
Linda Griff wants to know, how do you decide on the title of a painting?
Oh, that is poetry. So, my mother was a writer, And one of the things, and maybe you guys will notice this, I've never shared this. That's a great question. If you look at all of the titles of my paintings, they're almost always, I think, there's never a negative word in a title. Because to me, the title paints a picture, and it is poetry, and you leave with the emotion of the title. So for example, Gentle Warrior. I would never have said Defensive Warrior, because I don't want anyone to have that kind of feeling or emotion. Gentle Warrior, gentle, she's gentle but she's strong. Raspberry Delight, it's raspberry, but it's delightful. It's just something beautiful. Let's see another one. Oh, this one over here is called, what did we call it? I forget.
This one, Garden Tango.
Garden Tango. And I just wanted to really express it. So was that Linda's question?
Yes.
So Linda, my dear friend, hello, hello. So I come up with the title to try to express a very positive visual concept so that I will basically always remember also the name of the paintings, because that's who they are. And the words are, I try to think of it almost like I'm writing poetry.
Okay, a couple more questions. Well, first of all, Sylvia Farbstein says, I hope one day you will create wearables with your gorgeous art. And Ron Binstock wants to know, do you add finishing touches on top of the glaze?
Oh my goodness gracious. So good that Ron asked that. Because this painting, as I was saying, this painting
this one
is finished, but it's only been on the wall for 2 hours. And I told you, we know that they're done. This one is glazed and ready. So I realized we need an extra. So Ron, I'm going to show you that, yes, I add finishing touches on. But then what will happen is, now after I add this little finishing touch, I'm going to have to reglaze the whole painting. So I noticed that I need a little bit of a darkener right in here.
Is this what you meant by paint along?
Oh, this is my paint along. Paint with me. But I need actually a thinner brush to get in here. But I want to bring this out. First, I held it back. I wanted the features to be very nondescript, so I muted them a bit, and I was going to even mute them more. But now I'm deciding I want the eyebrows and things to come out. But I realize this brush isn't thin enough to do that, but I can still do this. So yes, Ron. I love it. But then once it's really done, like after this first couple days of, I joke when I say a week, it's really just a couple days. I just need to stare at it. Like
I
tonight,
love this
after
one.
this ends tonight, I'll sit in my living room and I'll stare at every single piece for about a half an hour and find what needs, everything is perfect, and then I'll know.
Also, when she's working on a piece, this is Rachel speaking, she will take a lot of photos of them, and then she will like look at them before she goes to sleep every night. And so she can like dream about how she's gonna like paint them.
That's what I look at before I go to bed. That's so true. I take pictures from my studio, and then I go into bed at night and look at every painting. And one of the things that's really helped me is with the telephone, with the modern technology, is I will put a painting into black and white mode, into
yeah.
monochromatic, and then you can really see how the values of the painting are.
Oh.
So if it's too heavy and dark on one side, I'll know that I need to do something with it, with the values.
We had a request to go back to the listener,
Yes.
and then you still have to show us Garden Tango.
Oh yes. And then we have the Dances Dance. So this is the listener.
Yes, this is the listener.
And she is sitting, and she is just ready for your story. She wants to. I just really. She makes me very happy. So, and.
Another question by Laura Dintelman. Do you wake up in the middle of the night with the need to paint?
That's a really good question, but no. I'm not the best sleeper, and so if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh no, I have to fall back asleep. So I just try to. Yeah.
She does stay out pretty late often painting, though. I think she was up till like 3 last night.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
And then I always wake up, even if I want to sleep later, I can't sleep past 8.
Yeah. Okay, show us this one.
Anyway, so this is Garden Tango, and this is one that I will tell you is going to be slightly different when...
Move that light a little bit, maybe.
I had put it up
It's kind of
here,
blocking it.
and it was finished, and it's signed, but I see a slight little brighter orange I'm going to bring into her shirt, and so if this goes to Chasen tomorrow, it's going to have a slightly brighter shirt. That's how new these paintings are. And again, that is one of the things that I do with all of my work is I really stare at it for a couple of days and make sure everything is just right. So part of the luxury of having this exhibit in my home is I can go back tonight and say, oh, okay, I'm going to change this a little bit. But one of the things I just love about it, I hope I'm like pointing out all the things I really like.
No, it's good.
But I really love how these flowers have come together, and the lavender that's popping out underneath them, and the different shades of yellows and ochres, and is that an ochre? Is that yeah, I think that's the color. And you know, the different the ways they burst forward, and again, they're part of the background, but they come forth, and they're just doing a very happy tango in the garden tango.
Rebecca Hain wants to know, do you have anyone in mind when painting people?
That's a really good question. I think, you know, if somebody's doing something like this, like they're doing this in the painting or dancing, I feel myself doing it. Like I'm sort of dancing with the painting, and I will sometimes dance. Okay. But that's a good question. Do I have anyone in mind? I don't have anyone in mind, but I think of like old-time masters. Like I love on a Chagall painting how there can be one or two lines on a face, and yet the face is so expressive. So I will, you know, I think of that. Actually, I think I try to do that quite a bit in my paintings. Is if they become a little too realistic in the face, I try to tone it back a bit and make it just very expressive with a few lines. So I think of maybe other artists and other technique more so than people.
Very nice. Did we do all of them?
We didn't do Hadassah's dance.
Oh, is that behind us?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll do one more pano of this room. So here we have delightful attire, garden tango.
Garden tango is going to have a little more orange on the arm. As you can see, it's coming out.
Golden hillside.
Which is perfect now. It's not being touched
It's perfect
anymore.
no more.
Listener is,
The listener.
I'm very happy with how she is. She's complete. And
Cherry blossom gathering.
And they are complete. I think I'm going to go with this technique a little bit more, this free flow and just seeing what emerges and letting the paint kind of form the image. I stared at that for a while until they emerged.
It's definitely different from your other pieces.
Yeah, it is different.
But it's gorgeous.
Thank you. That's Mary.
A mesh of colors.
And what's this one, Mom?
This is called Tropical Gala, and one of the things, Rachel, if you close up on, can you put the light on there? I'm going to again get my phone to put some light on
Yeah,
there.
grab your phone and you can shine the light.
Well, one of the things, I think I'm good. Thank you, Mary. One of the things that you'll see when, especially if a light's shining above it, is there's so many, thank you, Mary, so many subtleties of color. There's a turquoise and a lavender and a orangey red and the mustardy yellows and different shades of green. And I just loved how that kept growing and becoming. And then up here, there's some metallics. And then the ladies come forth and they are...
I like their rosy cheeks.
Yeah, they're meant to... This, I realize I'm going to take that off of there. But the other thing that I did with them, which is a difference on some of the others, because the background had so much activity, this is somewhat simplistic, but if you look closely, there's still so much color in every single piece of clothing, but they're very subtle. Well, this has a little bit of brighter, but it's a very subtle change. So this turned into one of my
I love
favorites.
this.
And that is called Tropical Gala.
And here we have our lovely neighbor, Marion.
Who helps me with so many things.
With so
She's
many
a great
things.
friend.
Oh, you have a
And-
couple you haven't shown.
Well,
And
yeah,
then
this
again,
one is
this
in
was
process.
Raspberry Delight.
And this is actually an old.
And people love the name of this.
Oh, thank you. This is just was a piece in my home that I took down to put up a different
Tell
piece.
us about this one.
This piece is not done. This is on the easel. You can see I'm still working on the face, and this will be hopefully done and at Chasen maybe in another week. It's almost done. I have to work on the face and get some colors coming together. This is called Forest Leisure. And it was done at, I think I gave Chasen the title of this thinking it would be done, but I just had a few more touch-ups, and I brought in some of this new shades of pink that I've been using, and fuchsia, different yellows and greens, and yeah, and I'm just reworking on the face. I reworked the back a little bit. And I'm loving how it's going. It's just not, it's almost there.
Tell us about this one.
So this one is interesting. This one is kind of a story, but it's also what different people will see in it. I wanted to create a leisurely, beautiful, comfortable piece in a forest, and I came up originally with the couple. And then I wanted to put another person in the, like in a park, like a little manet, like a little in the park. And I kept refiguring this person. A person was sitting this way. There was actually at one point another couple here. And then I realized I'll just have a nice person that takes over the whole front. And now I'm not sure what what the story is. Is the story, and so we can get some feedback on this maybe, is the story that she's reminiscing and she's thinking and like daydreaming, and this is her? Is the story that she's just kind of relaxed and this is another couple going on in the background? And if so, I need to alter the color of their dresses a little bit to separate them. So I would love to hear what people see in this, and maybe I will pull that out as I finish it. So right now it's the leisurely forest, and everyone's just very at peace and it's joyful. And
Amy Goel says, I see the woman remembering a lost loved one.
Aww. Aww.
Or a lost love, she said.
Aww. And so, but is
So in
this
love
her
of the
lost
past.
love? Is she remembering this, or is this separate? Does she see this as a separate person?
Marcy Kellner agrees.
Aww. But is this what she's remembering?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I may have to make.
And Barbara Blue. You're getting a lot of votes for that.
But this is an interesting thing. So I'll ask people that are giving me comments. I always just like I was sharing that the names of the paintings, I try to make them very poetic and positive. I try to always express something that when you see it, when people, hopefully what they'll find in it is something joyful, uplifting. It's going to be a positive experience to look at. So if I kept it in that way, where she's thinking of a lost relationship, is that then a sad experience?
Other comments say, I see sweet memories.
I'm going to go with
Someone said, yes, that was my first thought, daydreaming of what was or could be. Someone says, loving memory.
I love it. Well, I'll try to make it into a little bit of a positive, but I like the idea that it's a memory. But I'm going to...
And that it has lots of different interpretations.
Yes, lots of different interpretations. And the other thing I did differently with this piece, and I'm realizing as I'm looking around the room, I did this with a few of the pieces, is I brought together almost like not a pointillism, but a lot of different dots of color that create the whole rather than sort of blocking. And you can kind of see the difference. This is one that I started at the beginning of not quite a year ago, but it's blocks of color. And then this one has more of the dots of color that I think from when you step back gives you the whole picture, but up close it's more, dots. So we'll see. It's fun how it goes. And then those same dots of color became more leaves in this one. So it's exciting to see how pieces evolve, and And then, you know, some of this will carry over into other art pieces in the future, and some will, you know, it'll sort of be that sort of, I don't want to say, you know, sort of maybe that period of time where certain pieces are done in a particular way. And then I have one last one up here called Hadassah's Dance, and it's just, I wanted to do different body shapes, although these ladies are kind of still similar body shapes, but different ages. One of the women has gray hair, and they're just sort of doing a dance. They're doing like sort of a Hava Nagila, a little joyful celebration. And the background on this is you really have to see it, I think. It has some of this gorgeous turquoise and yet some very vibrant blues that ground the background. And but there's a lot going on in it, even though it maybe, you know, it's an overall blue and green. And then all of the ladies, they're dancing and they're coming forward in bright color. And so that's Hadassah's Dance, and it's 36 by 36. And this was interesting. I was deciding on what frame, and this one is this one I've stared at for a while. This one is I'm content with, so it's staying as is. I stared at this for a while, trying to decide if I wanted a gold frame. Usually you use gold with warmer colors and silver with cooler colors. And since it's such a dichotomy, the background is cool colors, and you know has cool colors, and the foreground has orange and pinks and reds. I wasn't sure exactly, but I think the gold makes this one pop. But it could also go potentially in a silver frame and still pop just as well, I think. So, and does anybody have any questions on any of the pieces? Should I start to do a paint along?
Yeah.
So what I did was, and I'm going to move this.
I'll show one pano from the stairs of the whole room.
We actually have paintings
All around the house.
Oh, no, let's stay in this room. And I think what I'll do for a paint along, I was trying to decide what to do, and knowing that I wasn't going to have a lot of time. And I actually have another paint along that I did at Chase and Gallery from, I don't even know, before all of this pandemic started, probably 10 or so months ago. And that one is almost completed. So I'm going to bring that into Chasen too. So I'll have to bring that to you down to the Richmond Chasen. This piece over here is the one I'm going to work on. And do you want to sort of...
Yeah, we can move this. Another quick question. Someone asked, does that one have some collage elements in the clothing?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yes. So I do, I use a few different techniques. Some of my paintings are totally acrylic and enamel paints and metallic and latex and different types of paint. And some do have embellishments of material and papers. And this one does have embellishments of paper. And
even down in here,
yes, to give it
so it'll have paper and then she'll build the paint on top of it.
Yes. And interestingly, that's been an evolutionary way of my painting. When I first really was enjoying doing, especially the bigger pieces, I used huge sheets of different decorative and art papers, and then I got away from that for a number of years and didn't put any paper into my work. And now I will incorporate a little bit of different fabrics and papers, but only in some pieces. I think this is actually the only piece in here that maybe oh no, this one over here, the Delightful Attire, had some in the dress on the right. But the other thing I've been doing to create some of this texture is using the very thick paint. It's almost like a sculpture that I build up.
Okay, should we move to the paint along?
Move to the paint along. So much for helping me show. So I think what I'm going to do is...
Do you want to do it here or do you want to move it?
I think I'll move it.
Okay.
Or should I just hang it? I think I'll move it over
Yeah.
here. We set this up so we can move it. So this, can we show it here in the light before we
Yeah.
So this is, again, oh, did you want to get mine?
No, he's gonna move this when you're ready.
Oh, okay.
The assistant is here.
After 30
What am I
years,
supposed to move?
he's a great schlapper. First I'm going to show this, then we're going to move this. So this I started the background on, and this is kind of how I started painting. So I don't know if this can be seen. So I did a background color that I'm working with some new colors, and it's different shades of yellows and golds. And in it, as you can see, I've put in some metallics. I have paint on my hands, excuse me. Metallics.
What is that metallic? What like paint is that? Is it?
This, I use a gold leaf that I put on. This particular one, believe it or not, is a gold spray paint. But I use all different kinds of gold. I use gold, an acrylic gold that has metallic in it, a spray enamel gold, a gold leaf, lots of different kinds of gold. Just I play with them. So I started this background, and because I knew this was for this event, you know, for Chasen, I was thinking of Andrew in Florida next to the Ringling Brothers
Circus
Museum. And I know now we're not doing circuses anymore, but they were the highlight of my childhood. So I thought about doing my women, but making them, as you can you see how I kind of sketched out a background? Sometimes I do this, sometimes I free paint, sometimes, like I said, I totally do a background of color and see what comes forward. This I did a background that I was playing with some new color, but then I actually sketched my design into it. And these are going to be clowns, women clowns, sort of like harlequins. And I have their faces up here, and I'll pull it over here, but while I am here, I might as well show you. I think, and I haven't done this in a while with the paper. I was saying I've done more painting than using paper, but I think I'll build it up, and then I thought for their outfits, I could actually, you know, kind of make their clothing, and then I'll paint into it, and again, it will be, oh, maybe I'll just, my lovely assistant is saying, just stay here. So
there's good lighting.
I'll paint here in the corner under my stairs.
You don't need me.
No, you're unneeded.
Yeah. So this is, but again, and I can't wait for you to see what this will end up looking like. It will be so many layers with creamy paints pulling into the paper. Some of the paint will go on top of this, and it will just be built up with so much texture. And maybe she'll be the only person in here that has paper for design, and the others may just be painted. But when I saw this paper, I thought this has to be a clown, but a happy clown, and a very elegant clown, a very pretty clown, and just happy, just a joyful person. So I will start. The other thing, just to tell you, a lot of my painting, I paint flat, because when I do use my gloss varnish that I build up with, I don't just use it as a varnish, I use it as a medium to build up. I put a glove on and I pour it on, and you know, spread it out, so it has to be flat. And then for some of the actual painting, I'll pull it up, and some I'll just paint down right on the table, and I have risers on the table to bring them up. But I will just go ahead. Maybe.
Well, we can move it over here if you want.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
We'll take you. Oh, he's gone. He thought he was off.
I'll help you.
Oh, and actually, I didn't clean out my colored paint. Okay, I'm going to move over to we're going to paint in the living room.
This isn't uncommon in our household.
No, I was going to say, this is how my kids were raised. They knew that living rooms were for painting. So, and we do it. Most pieces of furniture in my house have paint on them, as do most of the clothes that I own. For example, this shirt that I really like will maybe have a little paint on it after today.
Liz Brahman wants to know, is that background acrylic or oil?
Good question. I am just really using all water-based paints right now. So this is an acrylic. Some of the gold, because that was a spray, it's like an enamel, which will harden, but it's still a water-based. so I can put anything on top of it. And I really don't use much oil. Occasionally I'll do an oil stick painting, but I love with water-based paints that I can just keep adding and building on top of it. So I left my eggplant color, so I'm going to be really creative and go outside what I was going to do. And I left my cup of water.
You need a cup of water.
Excuse me, I'm going to go around and get my things.
I'll show some more paintings. And just as a quick reminder, all of these paintings that you see on the walls will be available to view at chasinggalleries.com. If you go to the exhibitions page, there will be a list and photos of all of the images that are on the walls, and you'll be able to inquire about the pieces. You'll be able to see the sizing, the names, the prices, all of that. And if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to contact Jeff at the Richmond Gallery or Andrew at the Sarasota Gallery, and they'll be happy to give you some more information about the paintings or give you some close-up photos. They have lots of different ways to help you find the perfect piece for your home.
So, yes, that's a really good thing to point out. All of these paintings will be going to Chasen, and for either of the galleries, even though I guess originally they'll be going to the local Richmond Gallery, but they'll all be available there. And hopefully this one soon, because this is the next piece I'm working on. So I did not seem to have my eggplant paint with me, but at least I did get my water. And what I'll usually do is I will take different paints and colors, and when I'm working in my studio, I have bowls of water that I will use really for each color. So I'll put down a base color on a flat palette, but then I will try to also keep separate the different watercolors so that as I'm painting in that wonderful water with all the beautiful colors in it that keeps changing, I can then, after I've gotten something I like, if you've noticed in some of my paintings, one in particular that was a big 48 by 48, oh, I can't think of the name of it, even though anyway, it was at Chasen, and it has found a lovely home from Chasen, so thank you. But one of the ways the dresses in that painting had all the lovely stripes of color is that after I get some layers of paint going, I'll dip into one of those wonderful things of dirty painted water, but with the great colors, and then I just sort of let it run down, and it won't streak down. But since we are on my living room, although Mary was going to bring a piece of cardboard, should I get the cardboard? Well,
No, it's fine.
I don't have that much time, I don't think, unfortunately. We'll have to get together
I'm
again.
messy tonight.
So how about if...
And again, if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat or to contact the gallery. The email is in the chat as well and can be found on our website, chasinggalleries.com.
I'll go ahead and sort of make her... I'm not really... Usually I would mix a little bit of a different variation of color, but I'm being a little less messy. And the other thing that I'll do sometimes, especially again when I have something under me and I can let the water drip, instead of mixing the color on the palette, I'll actually make the color on the canvas. So for example, right now, if I wanted that lightened a little bit, rather than mixing it with maybe some white and a little bit of orange or red to change the color, I'll just do it right on here. Whoops, did I just splatter paint here? That's good. I will be surprised when I do. And then I can kind of, see how cool that is, and I'll bring out, and it will just mix the paint right on here. And usually, again, I'm wearing gloves, and we have cardboard down. And she's going to be very lovely and very happy, which is a good thing. We need happy, joyful paintings in the world right now, and I'm so glad to be able to. What a fortunate way to get to spend my time during all of these challenges, to get to paint, and I'm just so excited to get to share them with everyone. And again, so appreciative to Chasen Gallery for for wanting to share my work, and for all of you guys for tuning on to see it. And I think Chasen is going to be putting this video on their website.
Yes, this website will also, or this video will also be available on the Chasen Gallery's website in the next
During the beginning of COVID, did you find yourself using a different palette of colors?
That's so interesting that you asked that. Yes, I actually did. I'm using more subtle pinks. I usually use the harsher fuchsias, and I'm going toward lighter pinks, and a little more pastel. But also I was saying that I found that I was making, and I didn't notice it until I really saw all the pieces together, but rather than differentiating the foreground from the background very strongly, I found that I was really making everything a little more melting together, you know, instead of coming forward as much. It's almost like we just have to all be work together. Holistic.
You were also saying, which I thought was interesting, how normally you'll have the women's faces all look straight forward.
Oh, yes.
And then in this piece, the women are kind of looking at each other like a community.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I don't know if you said that earlier, but I really liked that.
Well, I tend to always, or quite often, have the women's faces, or at least some of them, looking forward. I like the viewer. This actually, even though I said this was done, I found something there when I finished. And this is what I'll be doing tonight, everyone. Before they go to Chasen, I will be putting my last, or if there's anything that needs to change, I think that's perfect.
I love it.
So I often have the figures looking outward, but I wanted a little bit more interaction. Although these aren't so much looking at each other, but they're not looking right at the viewer either. There's some pensiveness and there's some interaction going on. And
so where do you think this painting will go, the one that you're working on now?
where in terms of the direction?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be...
You said it'll be clowns.
It'll be my lady clowns. They're wearing these cute little clown outfits. It's going to be very bright. It's going to have the yellows, pinks. I'm very excited to use that dot paper, which I haven't used paper really in something in a while. So this is going to be in here. Oh, maybe, I don't know. I think, oh, you know what? This is going to be here. So I think we're going to have to pop this down, maybe put a green or a blue in the middle. Some brown, this is going to be a sophisticated group of clowns, and I actually do not think their faces are going to be very defined. I think they're going to be very muted faces with just like a slight color for the separation, like, you know, to show where the nose is, and it's going to be sophisticated, and but very uplifting, I hope, and joyful, and lots of different colors and texture. And gosh, I already like how that is looking on that yellow. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Again, if you have any questions or would like to inquire about any of the pieces that you saw tonight, please contact Chasen Galleries. You can also view all of these wonderful paintings on the Chasen Galleries website through the exhibit page.
Yes,
this one will be done as well.
And then we have Hadassah's Dance, and we have Tropical Gala.
Where's that one? This one?
Tropical Gala. Gentle Warrior.
Gentle Warrior.
If anybody wants sizes, I can let them know sizes. And just what's interesting, and then I'll let people go.
Yeah.
With size, this Gentle Warrior is actually the same exact size painting as Cherry Blossom Gathering. But the different frame gives it a totally different look and a different size. So you see the difference between the two. They're both 20 by 24 paintings, but that's in a nice contemporary floater, and this is in a elegant gold linen lined. So think about that also, I think, with paintings. This is how you want to display them. But thank you. I'm so glad to have you all come into my living room. And next time I hope we'll be together in person. We'll have a toast. And I really appreciate everyone sharing time with me and letting me have this opportunity. Boy, what a gift to have the opportunity to share something I so enjoy creating, and it's been a very wonderful time